So, back when I was a kid in elementary school, I used to take a class dedicated to learning about computers. Most of the class just played either Flash games or IO games, but one of the few games that I played which caught my attention were the Papa Louie games. As of recent years, Flash has discontinued, and most nostalgic Flash games are either corrupted or unplayable. I was able to play most of the Papa games recently, but there were some that crashed, bugged, or corrupted, which was hard to find or play most of the modern games. Additionally, there are some of these games that are only mobile games, meaning that I couldn't record these type of games. Either way, I basically played every single Papa game and did the ultimate Papa Louie ranking. Now, before we start the actual ranking part, let's set some ground rules. Like I said, some of the Papa games are only played on mobile, so basically I recorded some of these games from the creators of the Papa Louie games. Each game will be ranked from 1 being the worst to 10 being the best. I'll also be talking about the procedure of the game, each station, and how fun the game is in general. Also, I know that there are also the platformer games and that one forging game with the donkeys, which I don't remember the name of right now. I won't be doing those because they aren't related to the cooking or the Papa games as well. So with all the rules out of the way, now let's get into the rating. The first of many and a classic to start to the games. Though it is the most simple out of all of them, it is one of the easiest to learn how to do compared with other games. Everything is easy to understand, building the pizza, how long to cook it, and cutting the pizza in pieces. Like I said, it is a classic and simplistic starting the line of many games. So as the final rating, I give it a 7 out of 10. The first of many banger Papa games. Just like Pizzeria, it gives you a base of what you need to do, grilling the patty and also adding the toppings. It's much more shorter than the Pizzeria with only having 2 stations. Visuals are also different from Pizzeria, especially with the UI, which would be used more in future Papa games. A solid 8.5 out of 10. Taco Mia is pretty similar to Burgeria, having to cook the meat and then building the taco itself. The only difference between both games is that Taco Mia unlocks new ingredients the more days you play and the more you rank up. And from this game on, you will be able to unlock new ingredients, making it harder for you to actually keep cooking the same thing, expecting the same order. I didn't enjoy Taco Mia as much as Burgeria, but I'd still give it a 6 out of 10. By far one of my favorite Papa Louie games in the franchise. I've been a fan of slushies, and making them was quite the experience in the game. I remember having memories of this game in my childhood, as it is one of the most that I've played. It is also a different pace of the game, which instead of making food, you make a drink, focusing on the flavor, toppings, and more. Freezeria is a bit more faster paced because you don't have to actually cook any meat, and making the slushy is just pretty simple. As a favorite, I have to give this one a 10 out of 10. Pancakeria didn't really feel like a lot of fun. I would play further to see if there are different type of pancakes, but I only played for the first 3 days to get the feel of it. Majorly, the game revolves around making the pancakes and then adding the toppings, which doesn't really feel like fun, and also is just similar to Burgeria or any other game that makes you add toppings and also make something. I can see this being more fun in future days with the addition of new ingredients, but it can get pretty old. 4 out of 10. Gameplay wise, it is fun to play, with different sauces and toppings. But, like Pancakeria, it gets old with easily making 12 wings and cooking them, adding the sauces for different wings, and then just adding them all to each serving. I did enjoy this one more than Pancakeria, but it is quite repetitive, and at some point it doesn't really get to be more enjoyable. Still, a 7 out of 10. I can kind of compare Hot Doggeria with Taco Mia, as it requires cooking the meat, adding the toppings, and serving. However, Hot Doggeria does add a soda and popcorn station, self-explanatory of what you have to do in the station. Just like Takamiya, I would give it a 6 out of 10, but it does add a bit more with the soda and popcorn station, so I'd say I bump it up to a 6.5 out of 10. I don't really enjoy the dessert games of the Papa Louie franchise, except for Freezeria, either because most of the games consist of lunches or dinners, or it doesn't really fit with the games. Out of the dessert games, it's not the worst one, but I didn't really enjoy it myself, baking cupcakes and all. The build station is also very punishing, even if you do it correctly. 4 out of 10. At this point, the corruption of the rest of the Papa games is quite notable, so it did feel a bit different. Either way, probably one of my favorite Papa games that don't involve cooking some sort of meat. Similar to Hot Doggeria, there's an additional station called the bread station, where you have to wait to bake the bread and put it to the side. It's quite creative because the bread and the pasta kind of make a pretty good combination together. 7 out of 10. So from here on out, most of the games I couldn't play myself as they were too corrupted that it was to crash my game. However, I did use footage from the creators of the Papa Louie games. Link in the description for the footage down below if you want to see just in case. Similar to Cupcakeria, I didn't really enjoy it that much, and Donuteria I expected the same, following the same recipe as other dessert games. 4 out of 10. I didn't know what to expect for Cheeseria, but it felt the same as Burgeria, which gave me somewhat nostalgia when I played Burgeria when I was younger. Honestly, I enjoyed this one aside from it being similar to Burgeria, the different cheeses and adding the toppings to the sandwich. It also includes fries with toppings as well, so it made more management. That feeling of nostalgia did bump up the rating. I would say I give it a 7.5 out of 10. Bakeria wasn't that bad. I mean, aside from it being another dessert Papa game, it was better than the other two, but not as good as Pizzeria. Consists mostly of making pies, which confused me because Bakeria can consist of other foods like cakes, not only pies. The structure itself follows the same as usual, with making it, baking it, and putting the necessary toppings. 6 out of 10. Apparently, by the Papa Louie community, this is the hardest Papa game out of all the other ones. I can see why though. Not only does cooking the rice have to be spot on, but the way you put the toppings and cutting it is quite the challenge and can punish you for doing it wrong. There's also the boba section, which is similar to the other drink stations. I do like the challenge the game gives you, being much specific with orders and easily messing them up. Honestly, 8 out of 10. I had a lot of fun playing Scooperia, mainly because I played it with a friend, but even without one, it can be somewhat similar to Freezeria, but with ice cream. However, aside from making the ice cream, you also have to make cookies, which have a variant with different flavors, toppings, which add more to the game. Then you scoop the ice cream, add the remaining toppings, and serve it complete. Oh yeah, I forgot about the rating. 8 out of 10. I'm not much of a coffee guy. What? Thought I was gonna say that this was gonna be a great game? Apparently, Mocharia isn't a web game, but a mobile game, and after this, they continue this with the last game. Anyways, it starts off with making 2 flavors of the coffee, mixing them, and then adding some final toppings. It's basically just Starbucks, but as a game. 5 out of 10. And to end it off, we finish with Cluckeria, similar to Burgeria, but with chicken. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't know if other people think differently or not, but in my opinion, I think that they were remaking the games with a twist, in this case being the chicken, but it does really feel like Burgeria, but as a mobile game. A different selection of chicken, and even Burgeria also has a port to mobile. I mean, sure, it adds a drink station, but at this point it's becoming repetitive. I know I gave praise to Cheeseria, but it felt different using the cheese as the plane instead of a meat. And even having a fry station, which isn't used much in most modern Papa games. If the intention of Cluckeria was to remake Burgeria but with chicken, sure, but I don't think I would like it as Burgeria. 4 out of 10. And that's a wrap. Yep, food jokes on a video about food. Yep, I'm funny. Very ironic. Just give me an award or something like that. I don't know. Those are all the pop games you could play, with the exception of that one forging game and the platformer ones. But that's all of the games ranked from 1 to 10. Even if it felt like some of the games weren't my fancy, I enjoyed my time playing all these games and making this video. It isn't like my usual video where I just play a game and that's it, or commentate over it, but more of an experiment creating essay videos. I was always a fond of them, and I wanted to try it on my own, so expect some more essay videos if I do ever record them. I usually just say subscribe or something. I don't know, I'm not really that good at outros. So
Hey, you, Iron Crafter. Didn't you say you're gonna talk about a special video at the end of this one? Just asking.
Right. Since you have made it to the end of this video, I've compiled some clips of me and my friend here playing some of the Papa games. The video should be out by now, so go ahead and watch it. It's pretty funny how we goofed around the job. So I hope